What if everything you've been taught about strength has quietly made you weaker? We've been trained to hide emotion, chase control, and measure worth by how little we let things affect us. But that armor you built to survive, it's the same armor that's suffocating. You don't think about it. We live in constant reaction mode. Strangers' comment can ruin our morning. Unread message can haunt our day. We give tiny pieces of our peace away. 1. Notification at a time. 2,000 years ago, the Stoics faced chaos. 2. Exile, loss, betrayal, political disaster. Yet they discovered a paradox. Real power isn't control over the world. It's control over your response to it. In this video, you will learn 8 brutal Stoic laws that will rewire how you think, react, and recover. They're not just lessons, they're mental blueprints for becoming calm, decisive, and mentally unbreakable in a world that profits from your panic. But let me warn you, these laws aren't comfortable. They'll challenge how you see control, emotion, and even success. Because strength isn't about winning every battle. It's about knowing which ones are worth fighting. We'll talk about how to silence overthinking, how to turn pain into focus, and how to detach from what you can't command. You'll learn why the Stoics didn't just endure life. They mastered it. And by the end, you'll see why most people who try to be strong actually break first. Because they fight everything instead of learning to flow with it. Stay until the end. Because the final Stoic law will flip your idea of control completely. It's the same idea that helped Marcus Aurelius rule an empire during a plague, and it still applies when you're trying to survive emails, bills, and burnout. You won't leave this video feeling motivated. You leave it changed. Because once you learn to master your mind, not the world, nothing and no one will ever own your peace again. That's where mental freedom begins. That's where you become unbreakable. We live in a time that worships speed and noise. Every headline screams urgency. Every notification demands a reaction. If you stay quiet, the world assumes you're falling behind. So we rush, scroll, post, argue, prove, and by the end of the day, we can't tell if we've lived or just reacted. Sound familiar? It's because the modern world runs on your attention, and attention feeds emotion. That's why anxiety feels endless, because there's always something new to fear. But the Stoics, 2,000 years ago, faced their own chaos wars, plagues, betrayal, loss. And instead of trying to control the uncontrollable, they built an inner fortress. They learned how to live in the storm without becoming part of it. Their strength didn't come from shutting down emotion, it came from understanding it. Stoicism is not about being cold. It's about clarity. It's the discipline of deciding which thoughts deserve a reaction and which don't. And in a culture addicted to outrage, that discipline feels like rebellion. That's what this video is about: 8 brutal Stoic laws that teach you how to reclaim your peace in an overstimulated world. These aren't theories or poetic quotes to share online. They're practical rewiring tools that will change the way you think, breathe, and move through chaos. Here's what you'll discover: how to control what truly belongs to you and release what doesn't. How to stop suffering in imagination before reality even begins. How to turn pain into insight, not bitterness. How to stay calm when emotions try to hijack your mind. And how to love fate itself, even when it looks unfair. Each law builds on the last, slowly turning noise into understanding, tension into focus, and reaction into deliberate power. By the end, you'll see that Stoicism isn't an escape from reality, it's an upgrade for it. Because the goal isn't to feel nothing, it's to feel everything, without being owned by any of it. This isn't philosophy for monks or emperors, it's philosophy for you. Sitting here, trying to stay sane in a world that monetizes distraction. So take a breath. You are not here to learn how to dominate life. You're here to learn how to master yourself no matter what life throws at you. You wake up and check your phone. Before you even leave the bed, you've already absorbed 10 opinions, 5 bits of bad news, and 1 subtle reminder that you're not doing enough. And yet, nothing has actually happened to you. This is how control slips away, quietly, through the things you let occupy your attention. The Stoics warned about this kind of invisible slavery. They said, you become what you give your focus to. When you try to fix everything, you fix nothing. You burn your energy fighting what you never own. People's moods, the economy, the weather. Outcomes that refuse to obey. Real control doesn't mean bending the world to your will. It means deciding where your mind goes when the world refuses to bend. Epictetus, born into slavery, had every reason to be bitter. Yet he discovered something most free men never find: sovereignty of the mind. Some things are within our control, he said, others are not. That single line became the foundation of Stoicism and the roadmap to inner peace. Because when you stop trying to command what isn't yours, you reclaim the one thing that is, yourself. That's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's saying, I will not let what I can change poison what I can. So the next time something upsets you, a rude comment, a delay, a loss, pause and ask, is this within my control? If it is, act with clarity. If it isn't, let it pass. That simple filter saves years of emotional exhaustion. Here's a practical exercise. Draw 2 columns, one labeled mine, the other not mine, under mine. Right. Your effort, your honesty, your routine, your reactions. Under not mine, other people's approval, timing, luck, gossip, the past. Now, whenever anxiety appears, check which column it belongs to. If it's not mine, release it. Not because you don't care, but because you refuse to suffer for what you can't steer. That's not detachment, it's precision, and precision is the highest form of peace. The Stoics practiced it daily, not as a theory, but as a mental hygiene, a daily cleansing from unnecessary burdens. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet he reminded himself each morning, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Even the emperor knew that true control begins and ends within. So when someone insults you, remember, their words are theirs, your reaction is yours. When life delays your plans, adapt instead of collapsing. That's control in motion, quiet, invisible, unshakable. The first Stoic law is the doorway to all the others. Once you master it, chaos will still knock, but you'll open the door with calm eyes. Because the world no longer decides your peace. You do, Seneca once wrote, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And he was right. Most of your pain doesn't come from what's happening now. It comes from what your mind says might happen. You replay old conversations. You rehearse worst-case scenarios. You live inside possible futures, but rarely the present moment. Fear paints every detail so vividly that your body can't tell the difference between imagination and experience. This is why you feel exhausted even when nothing bad has actually occurred. Your nervous system keeps fighting wars that never happen. And the tragedy is, those invisible battles drain the strength you could have used to face real challenges. The Stoics knew this truth long before psychology gave it a name. They called it the tyranny of anticipation. When Seneca wrote those words, he wasn't speaking from comfort. He lived under constant threat, accused of conspiracy, ordered to take his own life. Yet even then, he refused to live in fear twice, once in thought and once in reality. He practiced a form of mental separation, acknowledging danger, but refusing to suffer before it arrived. Think about your own life. How many times have you felt anxiety over something that never even came true? How many days have you wasted preparing for disasters that existed only in your head? The Stoic approach isn't denial. It's discipline. You don't ignore reality. You strip away illusions until only reality remains. Because most fear isn't preparation. It's punishment without. Crime. And every moment spent in imaginary suffering steals peace from the present that actually exists. Here's a Stoic practice that still works today. When anxiety strikes, write down the specific thing you fear. Then ask 3 questions. What's the evidence it will happen? What's within my control if it does? What's the cost of worrying before it even occurs? You will often find the fear collapses under its own weight. What felt like a storm becomes a shadow, big only when you face it in the dark. Marcus Aurelius called this cutting problems into pieces. By naming the fear, you shrink it. By questioning it, you reclaim authority over your mind. And by acting only on what's real, you move from anxiety to agency. This is how Stoics practiced emotional minimalism, keeping only what's useful, discarding what's imagined. You'll still feel fear. Everyone does. But when you stop feeding it with imagination, it weakens. And in that space, courage grows. Seneca wrote that a wise person suffers not before the time. Because when you face pain only once, when it actually arrives, you double your resilience and have your misery. So the next time your mind invents disasters, pause. Ask yourself, is this happening? Or am I rehearsing pain? That single awareness can rewrite the way you experience life. You stop dying 1,000 times in thought and start living once with clarity. Most people spend their lives trying to outrun pain, avoiding confrontation, burying heartbreak, numbing discomfort with distraction. But here's the brutal truth the Stoics accepted. The more you run from pain, the more it owns you. Pain isn't the enemy. It's information. It tells you what still controls you, where your ego hides, where your expectations are too fragile, where your comfort has become a cage. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The obstacle is the way." He didn't mean to glorify suffering. He meant that every obstacle, if faced with awareness, becomes instruction. Your pain is the universe's most honest feedback loop. It doesn't lie, it doesn't flatter, and it doesn't wait for your permission. It arrives when you're ready, not when you feel ready, but when you need to be. Think back to your hardest moments: heartbreak, rejection, failure, loss. You didn't know it then, but those moments were carving something inside you that comfort never could. You learned empathy from being misunderstood, patience from being forced to wait, strength from being broken. That's how the Stoics trained resilience, through deliberate exposure to discomfort. Seneca advised practicing poverty once a month, eating simple food, sleeping on the floor, and reminding himself how little was truly necessary. He didn't do it to suffer. He did it to remember that fear often exaggerates pain. When you meet pain willingly, it shrinks. When you resist it, it expands. Pain is a messenger, not punishment. And when you stop treating it as an intruder, it becomes your greatest teacher. The modern world has forgotten this. We numb pain with entertainment, drown silence with noise, and call it self-care. But avoidance is not healing. It's postponement. You can mute pain, but it will keep knocking until you listen. The Stoics believed in what we now call voluntary hardship. Do something difficult on purpose. Wake up early. Take a cold shower. Spend a day without technology. Not to prove toughness, but to sharpen awareness. To remind yourself that pain, in measured doses, builds capacity. Just like muscles tear to grow stronger, the mind expands through struggle. You can't think your way into resilience. You must live your way into it. Every trial, every scar, every failure, they're not setbacks, they're training. Seneca said, "Fire tests gold, Adversity tests the brave, and that's what pain does. It reveals the parts of you that comfort hides. The next time you're in pain, don't ask why me. Ask what is this trying to teach me? Because pain is not a signal to stop. It's a call to grow. When you finally stop running from it, something changes. You stop seeing life as punishment and start seeing it as practice. And that's the shift where strength begins. The third Stoic law is simple. Don't fear pain. Use it. Because every wow, faced consciously, becomes wisdom written into your bones. The Stoics were often misunderstood. People think they wanted to eliminate emotion, but they never said don't feel. They said, feel everything, but master your response. Emotion is the most human thing about you. It's how you connect, care, and create meaning. But when emotion controls your decisions, chaos follows. Marcus Aurelius felt anger, frustration, grief. He just refused to let those emotions drive his actions. He understood a truth we often forget. Emotion is instinct, but reaction is training. Most of us mistake reaction for authenticity. We think yelling means passion and silence means weakness. But Stoicism teaches that restraint is not suppression. It's strength under control. The calm person isn't empty. They're disciplined enough to carry fire without letting it burn the room. Imagine someone insults you online. Instantly, your body reacts, pulse quickens, shoulders tighten. Let's race. That's emotion. Automatic, ancient, natural. But then comes the decision point. Do you respond or react? The average person reacts. They fire back, scroll for validation, and hand control of their peace to a stranger. The Stoic pauses. They ask, does this require my energy, or just my ego? That single question separates peace from chaos. It's not about ignoring emotion. It's about directing it. You can use anger to draw a boundary, sadness to deepen empathy, or fear to heighten focus. Emotion is fuel, but only if you learn how to drive. And trained emotion is like fire in dry grass. Guided emotion is warmth in a cold world. The difference is awareness. Epictetus taught his students to insert space between feeling and action, a pause long enough to regain command. That pause is where power lives, because between stimulus and response lies choice, and in that choice lies freedom. You don't need to suppress feelings to be stoic. You just need to stop worshipping them. Modern culture tells you to speak your truth immediately, as if speed equals honesty. But wisdom doesn't rush. The Stoic truth is quieter. Let emotion inform you, not define you. Try this practice. When emotion hits, breathe once, name it, and wait before acting. In that breath, your brain rewires from reaction to reason. That's the exact moment a person transforms from being controlled to being in control. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you." That sentence is the art of emotional freedom. You can feel anger without becoming angry. Feel fear without becoming fearful. Because emotion passes, but reaction writes history. The fourth Stoic law reminds you, you are not your feelings. You are the observer choosing what to do with them. And every time you choose silence over chaos, patience over pride, clarity over impulse, you strengthen that inner muscle dot so the next time emotion rises. Don't fight it, just guide it. Because mastery doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you finally feel without losing yourself. The modern world runs on validation. Every scroll, every like, every comment is a small hit of approval, a momentary relief from insecurity. But like all addictions, it fades fast and leaves you needing more. You might not chase likes, but maybe you chase promotions, compliments, admiration, being seen as the strong one. Different language, same craving. Epictetus one. If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. He understood that freedom begins when approval loses its power over you. Because when your self-worth depends on external praise, you're handing strangers the keys to your peace, and they'll never guard it as carefully as you would. A Stoic lives by inner standards, not external applause, by self-respect, not popularity. Ask yourself honestly, how often do you say yes just to be liked? How many times have you bitten your tongue to keep the peace? How much energy do you waste imagining what others think of you? Most people live as actors in someone else's story, performing versions of themselves to earn acceptance. But the Stoics saw how fragile that performance is. When your peace depends on reputation, one rumor can destroy it. When your confidence depends on praise, one insult can steal it. The Stoic answer: detach from both praise and blame. You are neither as great as their compliments say, nor as small as their criticism claims. You are what your actions consistently reveal when no one is watching. That's integrity, and it's immune to opinion. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most admired men, wrote privately, "Ambition means tying your well-being to what others say. Self-indulgence means tying it to what you feel. Sanity means tying it to what you can control." That's the balance Stoicism teaches. You don't become indifferent to people. You just stop being enslaved by their opinions. Validation feels good, but it's unstable. It's the weather, changing without warning. If you build your confidence on weather, you will spend your life chasing forecasts. Instead, build it on principle. Let your standard be your own character. How you treat others, how you handle failure, how you show up when it's inconvenient. That's respect that can't be taken, because it isn't borrowed. Here's the paradox: the moment you stop chasing validation, people start respecting you more. Because confidence born from self-alignment is magnetic. It's quiet, grounded, and real. The fifth Stoic law isn't about arrogance. It's about freedom. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. You need to remember it. So the next time someone questions your value, pause before defending yourself. Smile inwardly, and know that their approval adds nothing, their rejection removes nothing. That's the strength of the Stoic, a person who no longer seeks to be admired, but simply chooses to be authentic. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is intentional. One depends on how you feel. The other depends on what you decide. Most people wait to feel ready. They wait for the perfect mood, the perfect time, the perfect energy. And while they wait, life moves on without them. The Stoics understood this trap long before modern psychology did. They knew emotions were unreliable guides. Some days you wake up inspired. Other days you wake up heavy. But discipline doesn't care. Discipline shows up anyway. Seneca said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." He meant that consistency creates its own momentum. You don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your habits. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you becoming. Look around. Our culture glorifies the grind. Yet most people still quit when it stops feeling exciting. They want results, not routine. They want transformation without repetition. But Stoicism teaches that greatness is built quietly, not in big moments, but in small, unseen choices made daily. Marcus Aurelius wrote every morning before sunrise, not because he felt inspired, but because reflection was his duty to himself. Epictetus taught from poverty, repeating the same principles thousands of times to anchor his students in truth. They didn't wait for perfect conditions. They created progress through consistency. That's discipline. Doing what matters, especially when you don't feel like it. It's showing up, not for the applause, but for the alignment. Discipline turns ordinary days into silent victories. Here's how the Stoics practiced it. Through ritual. They treated each day as training. Morning, reflection, daytime, deliberate action. Night, review and correction. No self-loathing, no drama, just consistent self-observation. Marcus asked himself, what did I do today that aligned with virtue? Where did I fail? He didn't use guilt to change. He used awareness that you can do the same. Create one ritual you follow no matter how you feel. Journaling, walking in silence, cleaning your space, reading a page of wisdom. Over time, that one act becomes the anchor that steadies everything else. Discipline isn't rigidity. It's rhythm, the beat that carries you forward when emotion can. The sixth Stoic law is simple. Build your life on decisions, not moods. When motivation fades, and it will, your discipline will keep you moving. Because there will be mornings when you wake up empty, tired, or uninspired. But when you act anyway, you teach your body who's in charge. Discipline is quiet power. It's not glamorous. It's not viral, but it builds lives that last. So don't chase motivation. Create movement. Do the thing. Repeat it. Refine it. Until one day, people will call you driven. Not realizing it was never passion that built your strength. It was discipline, practiced in silence, one day at a time. Most people live as if they'll live forever, postponing joy, withholding honesty, saving love for a someday. But someday never comes, and the Stoics knew this better than anyone. Memento Mori. Remember, you will die. It wasn't a morbid reminder. It was a call to clarity. Death, to the Stoics, wasn't tragedy. It was truth. It stripped away illusion and forced them to ask, what truly matters if time is finite? Marcus Aurelius wrote, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. He didn't write it to scare himself. He wrote it to stay awake. Because remembering mortality isn't about fearing death. It's about fully living before it arrives. We avoid death the same way we avoid silence, because both reveal what's real. But avoidance doesn't stop the clock. It only wastes what's left of it. Think about how much of your life is spent in waiting. Waiting for the weekend, for the raise, for the apology, for the right time. And while you wait, life quietly slips past in seconds that never return. The Stoics saw time as the most sacred currency. Seneca wrote, it's not that we have a short life, but that we waste much of it. That line still pierces through centuries because it's the same mistake we keep making. Confusing busyness with purpose. Memento Mori brings you back to focus. It's not meant to depress you. It's meant to prioritize you, to remind you that every breath is a deadline disguised as grace. So how do you live with that awareness without fear? The Stoics practiced death rehearsal, not in darkness, but in gratitude. They'd imagine losing something, a friend, a possession, even a moment, to strengthen appreciation for what's here now. You can try it when you hold your child, your partner, your morning coffee. Remind yourself, one day, I won't have this instantly. Presence deepens. That's the paradox. By remembering death, you become more alive. Memento Mori sharpens your senses. Food tastes better. Conversations feel heavier. Time slows down because you finally see how little of it is guaranteed. Awareness of death doesn't make life smaller. It makes it sacred. Marcus Aurelius faced plague, war, and loss. Yet his response was calm purpose. He didn't seek to outlive everyone. He sought to outlive regret. That's the heart of this law. You don't control how long you live, only how deeply you live. You can't extend your timeline, but you can expand your presence. So when you wake up tomorrow, whisper to yourself, I will day, but not today. Then live like today deserves your full attention. Because when death stops scaring you, Life stops escaping you, and in that space between both, you'll find something timeless: peace. There's one Stoic paradox that terrifies most people, and yet, it's the key to true peace. Amor Fati. Love your fate, not accept it. Not tolerate it, love it. Fully, fiercely. Without resentment. It's easy to love what's pleasant. Success, comfort, admiration. But the Stoics challenge themselves to love everything. Even loss, even failure, even pain. Because once you can love what happens, you stop suffering twice. Most people spend life arguing with reality. This shouldn't have happened. I deserved better. This isn't fair. But the universe doesn't take requests. It moves, indifferent to our preferences. Amor Fati means aligning with that movement. Not fighting it. It's not giving up. It's saying, if this is the path, I'll walk it fully. Marcus Aurelius wrote, a blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything thrown into it. That's Amor Fati, turning misfortune into fuel. You lose your job. Maybe it's the push you needed to build something of your own. A relationship ends. Maybe it's the silence you needed to rediscover who you are. Life doesn't always give reasons, but it always gives opportunities hidden inside. Resistance. To love fate is to stop labeling things as good or bad. It's to see every event as neutral. Until you assign meaning. The Stoics didn't say everything that happens is pleasant. They said everything that happens can serve you, if you choose to use it. And that choice, perception, is where your freedom begins. The world teaches conditional peace. I'll be calm when things go my way. But Amor Fati teaches unconditional peace. I'll be calm because things are going the way they must. That mindset doesn't make you passive. It makes you powerful. You stop wasting energy resisting the past and start using it to build the present. You stop replaying old pain and start refining the person you've become because of it. When you love your fate, gratitude becomes your default state. You don't need life to be perfect to feel blessed. You realize that every twist, every setback, every heartbreak, it all led you here to this clarity, and that realization changes everything. Acceptance is survival, but love is transcendence. Friedrich Nietzsche revived the Stoic idea centuries later and called it the formula for greatness. He said, not merely to bear what is necessary, but to love it. Because once you love reality as it is, no one can break your peace again. That's the eighth and final Stoic law. Amor Fati. It's not about becoming invincible. It's about becoming intimate with life itself. So when hardship comes, don't ask, why me? Ask, why not me? Because everything you've endured has prepared you for this exact moment. Love your fate, not for what it gives you, but for what it makes you. That's how you become untouchable. Let's pause and look back. You've just walked through 8 Stoic laws, 8 mental rewrites that can turn chaos into clarity. Law 1. Control what you can. Ignore what you can't. Because peace begins where control ends. Law 2. You suffer more in imagination than in reality. So stop dying in thought before life ever tests you. Law 3. Pain is your greatest teacher. Let it refine you, not define you. Law 4. Emotion is natural. Reaction is a choice. Feel deeply, but master the space between impulse and action. Law 5. External validation is a trap. Live for your principles, not their praise. Law 6. Discipline over motivation. Act from commitment, not convenience. Law 7. Memento Mori. Remember death, and you'll start truly living. Law 8. Amor Fati. Love your fate, and nothing can ever destroy your peace again. Each of these isn't a quote. It's a mirror. If you apply them daily, you won't just know Stoicism. You'll embody it. The world tells you strength is dominance. Louder voice, bigger win, tougher armor. But the Stoics saw something different. They believed true strength is silent, patient, and deeply personal. It's the power to remain calm in a world that profits from your reaction. It's the decision to stay kind when bitterness feels easier. It's the ability to hold pain without passing it forward. Maybe you've spent years trying to prove your worth, working harder, posting more, saying yes to things that drain you. But you don't need to be admired to be strong. You need to be aligned. Because alignment lasts longer than adrenaline. When you stop chasing the world's noise and start mastering your inner voice, you'll notice something strange. Life doesn't get easier, but you get steadier. Obstacles still come, but they no longer shake you. You begin to see life not as punishment, but as practice. That's the quiet revolution Stoicism offers. Not to escape life, but to finally meet it with open eyes. The Stoics never wrote for applause. They wrote for survival, to remind themselves and us that peace is a practice, not a prize, and that practice begins right now. With one question: what will you do differently after hearing this? Will you pause before reacting? Will you let go of what you can't control? Will you stop rehearsing pain that hasn't happened yet? Because wisdom doesn't live in knowing. It lives in doing. So start today. Write down one Stoic law that hit you hardest, and live it for a week. Observe how your world responds when your mind becomes unshakable. If this message spoke to you, leave a comment below and share which law you're practicing right now. I read every one of them. And if you want more lessons like this, subscribe to StoicCraft. Here, we study ancient philosophy not to sound wise, but to live wiser. Remember, you can't control the wind, but you can set your sail. You can't choose every event, but you can always choose your response, and sometimes that's all the control you need to be free.